The Green Bay Packers, the oldest franchise in NFL history, have won 4 Super Bowls with 33 individuals in the Hall of Fame. For the entire 2010s decade up until this season, Green Bay was led by future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, who gave them a Super Bowl and broke many of Green Bay's passing records. However, the Rodgers era has set sail for New York, and a new and young era is taking over. For fantasy football, how do you feel about this? It's time to take a look. How is everyone doing today? My name is Aaron, and this is the Gameday Hour. Welcome to episode 5 of the Fantasy Football Team Review. This is technically episode 6 because episode 5 was between the Heat and the Nuggets for the NBA Finals prediction, and that video jumped over 100 views. So thank you for all the support on that video. I truly appreciate it. And we are back on the Fantasy Football Team Review. In this series, we analyze each and every 32 NFL franchises and see what they offer for fantasy football. Here, we analyze the team's quarterback, running back, wide receiver 1 and 2, tight end, and kicker. Our goal is to analyze last season and see if these players are worth drafting, and if so, when and where. Today, we analyze the Green Bay Packers.
Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers quarterback.
So first up, we have the new leader of the Green Bay Packers offense, Jordan Love. Jordan Love has been in the league for a few years now, and he's been the backup to Aaron Rodgers. He's gotten to see some more play time over the years, and last season he got to see at least 4 games. He didn't really get to see many other games, and his stats, well, for 4 games you would expect these type of stats. So in those 4 games, he had 14 completions out of 21 attempts, which is 66.7%. He had 195 passing yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions, and only 12 total fantasy points for PPR. Though it was a short year and he didn't play all those games fully, he came in to back up Aaron Rodgers a few times, and now he's going to be the full-time starter. So if I had to guess his stats, I would say they probably would sit in the 2,000 passing yards range, the lower half of the teens, and maybe a few more interceptions. I wouldn't call it for a big year, but it has to be bigger than this year, and it definitely should be. Would I draft him? No, I would not, because he hasn't proven anything to me yet. But if you think he will, I think he's a quarterback 2 on the depth chart, and I would pick him in the late rounds 13 through 16. But I just wouldn't take him personally myself because he hasn't proven anything. It was kind of the way I was with Patrick Mahomes when he first started the entire year. He was not on my board at all, and I didn't even really care to draft him. And then he blew up, and all of a sudden he's on my board no matter what. But in review, I wouldn't pick up a guy who hasn't proven anything yet. But if he starts to blow up, I would suggest going into free agency to go pick him up. And if you do, you might get rewarded. If you don't, it's okay. I just don't think that he's going to blow up this year. But hey, maybe. We'll see. Let's just see what the weapons around him can do.
Aaron Jones, Green Bay Packers running back.
You can make the easy argument that this is the best player on the Green Bay Packers offense, and I would not blame you. This is Aaron Jones, the starting running back. Aaron Jones has been a top back in the league for a few years now, and this year, I see no difference. In fact, he needs to be the top back if he really is going to help the Green Bay Packers win many games this year, because I don't think Love is going to do it on his own. This guy is going to have to be a bell back, a cowbell, or whatever you call him. And last season, he put up some very impressive stats. So he played 17 games last year, 213 carries, which was 15th. He had 1,121 rushing yards, which was 10th in the NFL, with 2 touchdowns, which was tied for 43rd. So that wasn't a big stat. But the passing game was pretty impressive. He had 59 receptions, 395 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. That all accumulated to 237 total fantasy points for PPR. That was 7th among all running backs. And it's pretty impressive when you think about the fact that the Packers run a 2-back offense, because the other one's A.J. Dillon. But even with A.J. Dillon also taking a lot of carries, Aaron Jones is getting just as many points, if not more than many backs in this entire league. He is a true running back one, and he will need to be for this year. Which ultimately leads to projections. Would I draft him? Yes, I would draft him as a running back one if it is a low running back one. Because I do think that they're going to use A.J. Dillon a lot this year. If you draft him as your running back one, I imagine you're going with a wide receiver heavy offense, maybe a great quarterback to start off with. But he's definitely a running back too, and I have no doubts about that. I'd see him being picked up in rounds 3 and 7. And again, that's if you're not too focused on the running back position and you're trying to build a wide receiver core with a great quarterback. That's where I would see the rounds 3 and 7 being great options. But do not be afraid to pick this guy up. He's going to get you a lot of points, and he needs to. If the Packers are going to make any impact on offense this year, he has to be the main guy. And along with him being the main guy, wide receivers need to step up. And if they do, maybe Jordan Love will see a lot of improvement. Maybe the Packers aren't too far gone. Who knows?
Christian Watson. Green Bay Packers wide receiver 1.
Now, it's very interesting how this Green Bay Packer wide receiver core is because both these wide receivers I'm about to talk about are in their second year. And so, not only is Jordan Love a young quarterback starting for the Packers for the first time, but he has some very young receivers, and the first one is Christian Watson. Now, I didn't hear much about Christian Watson up until the game against the Dallas Cowboys when he absolutely torched Dallas, 3 touchdowns. That was one of many games where he's had a pretty decent season last year. So he has taken the reins as number 1 because Lazard went with Rodgers to the New York Jets, who we'll be talking about in another episode. But his 2022-2023 stats consisted of 14 games played. He had 41 receptions, which was tied for 98th. He had 611 receiving yards, which was 63rd. He had 7 touchdowns. Again, 3 came against Dallas, so 4 for the rest of the season. That's tied for 15th among all wide receivers. And he had 155 total fantasy points, which was 42nd among all receivers. So keep this in mind. You get 4 wide receivers and there's 10 teams. That means 40 receivers will go off the board, which means he was ranked for 42nd. But I don't agree on the no draft because I would draft him as a wide receiver 3 and 4. He could be a very low 3, but definitely a 4 in rounds 10 through 14. And because he's a 3 up there, I put him as a potential flex position. I just think Watson will get better, and he has to get better because he might be Love's go-to guy next year, and he needs to be that guy. I would hope to see around 900 receiving yards for the Packers and just a little more touchdowns. So if he's able to do that, he'll be good to go because I think he can, but we'll just have to wait and see. So if you want to draft this guy, I would recommend drafting him low, but he could jump at the top of all your wide receivers if he manages to improve. I don't know if he'll be your best wide receiver. He could get up to wide receiver 2, though. That's a status we're waiting to see.
Romeo Dew. Green Bay Packers wide receiver 2.
And the second wide receiver is Romeo Dubes. And I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly. But Romeo was the third wide receiver on the depth chart last year. Again, Lazard moved over to the New York Jets, so now he has to move up to second. I do not necessarily trust that he's the second wide receiver, only just because last year I didn't think he had a great year for being that third wide receiver. But let's see. He played 13 games last year, and he had 1 more reception than Christian Watson, which was tied for 93rd among all wide receivers, but had significantly less yards. He had 425 receiving yards, which was 101st. He only had 3 touchdowns and didn't crack 100 total fantasy points, only 97 for PPR, which was 69th among all wide receivers. So being thrusted into the second wide receiver depth position is going to be a little challenging for him, which is why he's a player I wouldn't draft. Because I already have Watson at wide receiver 3 and 4, which means the secondary receiver in this case can only move downwards, and I don't even have him as a 4. But if you want to draft him because you trust he's going to do something better, I would say, again, wide receiver 4, I would draft him in rounds 15 through 16. I don't see this guy being a high draft possibility, but if Love is able to move the ball around and is able to get everyone involved, maybe Dubes gets those yards up, but I don't know. You're just going to have to be a little careful drafting this guy if you are thinking of drafting him.
Luke Musgrave. Green Bay Packers tight end.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first rookie we are going to be talking about, and this is projected on the starting tight end for the Green Bay Packers, Luke Musgrove. Musgrove's a rookie from Oregon State who was a high prospect for the tight end position. Of course, there were two tight ends that I would say were better at the time, Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid, who were drafted to the Bills and the Raiders, and I don't know if we're going to get to them this year. If they are starting on the depth chart, then maybe we'll get to them. But we're going to take a look at Musgrove very quick. Last year at Oregon State, he had 11 receptions for 169 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, and was drafted as the 42nd pick in round 2 by the Packers. So last year, obviously didn't have many stats, didn't have many plays, but down in the red zone, he was a big threat, despite only having 1 touchdown. Hopefully those stats change this year. He's going to become a red zone threat for Love this year. And as a projected, obviously, he's somebody who I would not draft. And if you do, I would say he's a tight end too, rounds 14 through 16. I just don't think he's the best tight end even as a rookie. But he might be able to get better this year and be what the Packers need him to be. So I guess we're going to just have to wait and see what Musgrove can do for Green Bay.
Anders Carlson. Green Bay Packers kicker.
And lastly, we have Anders Carlson. Oh, wait, another rookie. So Anders Carlson is from Auburn. He's played all 5 years at Auburn, and now he's here in the NFL. What did he do last year at Auburn? Well, again, unbeknownst how many games he actually played, he's 12 for 17 and made attempted field goals, which was 70.6%. That's not that great. He was 100% from extra point percentage, but that really means nothing when you really think about it, because the difference between an extra point in college versus the NFL is one is at the 2-yard line, the other is at the 15-yard line. So it's easier to make the one at the 2-yard line for the extra point. And his long was 46. He had 58 total points last year, and this year he was drafted around 6, pick 207. So he's a very low pick. It wasn't even the first kicker taken off the board. So because of that, obviously, he's somebody who I would not draft. But if you do, he is a kicker too, round 16 exclusively, because I don't see why you would jump around to get a second kicker who is a rookie over a defense or any other position. So he would be the complete last pick. I don't even think he is going to be drafted this year. So it all depends on if he shows up or not, but I don't know. Be very careful when drafting rookies, especially kicker rookies. And that'll do it for today's episode. I thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure you ring that bell notification if you want to see these videos come up on your news feeds or in your notifications, so that you guys can always keep watching these videos when they come out. I'm going to give like a little bit of a rundown. So again, the video between the Heat and the Nuggets, that one blew up for my channel, and I thank you guys so much. After watching Game 1, I might be wrong. I might be right about who wins. I might be wrong about by how many games they might win it in. But that was a fun finals, and I hope you guys are also watching it. Next game, I believe, should be either tomorrow or on Sunday. And with either day, go watch it. It's going to be fun. And yeah, that's all I have for today's episode. Next episode will be the Chicago Bears episode. And if you're wondering why this video did not come out Thursday and it came out today, it's because I tried recording yesterday and was having some audio technical difficulties. When they got all settled, it was too late to record. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.